This is just kind of something that has kind of weighed over my head recently. Now, I know that 3 months ago, a guy who became very famous because of this incident, he goes by Charlie Kirk, he got assassinated while he was doing a political rally. Well, it wasn't really a rally, it was more like a debate rally. Well, it was still a political rally, but he was doing that at around Utah University, last I recall. I don't know all the facts about it, but I'll tell you this. It definitely wasn't a good thing that it happened. It's never a good thing for anybody to get killed. I wouldn't wish it upon the worst communist. I wouldn't upon the worst fascist. I wouldn't upon honestly just someone who didn't affect another person's life, even if they had some real extreme views. Like, even if they had extreme views, and keep in mind, Charlie was not an extremist. He was he was somewhere between moderate and far right, I'd say, but he was never an extremist. But if this even happened to like an extremist that just didn't affect anybody's life, they just had that political, they just had those views, it still wouldn't have been deserved. And I think even if it happened upon a very bad guy, still wouldn't have been a good thing. The thing is, I understand that a lot of times it could be justified, but that doesn't mean we should celebrate death. Death is, honestly, I think it's very messed up that people celebrate other people's deaths like that. Now, I'm a human being, right? So naturally, I'm imperfect, and I make exceptions. Like, I think pedos, like, I wouldn't give them any softness. They would just go straight into execution. But aside from that, man, it's a bunch of blurred lines for me. And even if that did happen to them, I wouldn't celebrate. I wouldn't celebrate anyone's death. I think it's very wrong to do that. And it kind of ruins the humanity of people. Which is kind of ironic because humans are messed up, right? But my attention has kind of shifted towards the fact that we're still making memes out of this guy, even though it hasn't even been like a year. It hasn't even been like a while, and this guy was just murdered recently. He didn't die of natural causes. He wasn't killed like January of this year. He was killed very recently, and we just started making memes on this guy. We're still continuing it with the whole "We Are Charlie Kirk" song. Now, personally, I'm not gonna share too many of my views on Charlie because I don't feel like I have to shove my opinions down your throats. But I want to find a ground of rationality here, because I think it's very messed up. Because a lot of people, they see very viral clips of this guy, and because of that, and they disagree with him very greatly, but they haven't seen like full talks about it. They haven't seen a lot of his stuff. They are more likely to hate him and more likely to have a skewed perception on him. Now, I think it's perfectly okay to disagree with him. I think it's perfectly okay to either agree or disagree with him, and even greatly so. But the fact that you would celebrate someone's death just because you disagree with them, and from that disagreement you thought they were a horrible person, even though they affected virtually nobody's lives just from having beliefs, that's very messed up. It really is. And I think it's even more messed up the fact that we're just joking about it, and it hasn't even been like a year. I know I'm one to talk when it comes to drawing a line to boundaries, but I think even making 9/11 jokes in today's day and age, it just seems a little uncanny. Now, of course, I'm all for offensive humor, so in a way, it doesn't affect me, and at the same time, I'm just disappointed, right? I think satire and dark humor are perfectly fine, right? It's perfectly fine to make dark humor and satire about even people, about politics a lot of times, but it's just gone a little too far with Charlie in particular. I know quite a few people who disagree with him, but they show a mutual understanding or some respect because every human being deserves dignity. And we're just tearing his last shred of dignity because memes and brain rot have taken over the space, and our clouded judgment has just, it's thrown our rationality out of the window. I just want everyone to take a step back, right? You don't have to, but I seriously recommend that you do. Please take a step back and like consider when you begin to say all this stuff like, oh, he deserved it, or just start memeing about the fact that he got killed and stuff. I just want you to consider, please take a step back and understand what you are really doing and what like you're really thinking. All right. Am I offended by this? I'm trying my very best not to be, because not being offended is kind of a big part of my personality. I'm not offended if you make jokes about my race, about the fact that I'm a guy, about the fact that I'm straight. I think I've seen it on TV all the time, and I don't feel offense to it. I'm actually quite numb to it. And I think it's perfectly fine for people to make fun of each other. Not in a very mean-mannered way, but in a friendly, playful way, we can make fun of each other. I'm not even offended by this, I'm just disappointed. I'm disappointed in the fact that people are just not willing to even do the research. And they're just going to be quick to jumping to conclusions like this, and they're going to be, oh yeah, he deserved to die. Do you hear yourself? Really, do you hear yourself? Please. Look, I'm not asking you to even, like, understand what this guy is saying, but please take a step back before you say something that outrageous like that, and with a serious tone too. And for those of you who think that I'm just gonna like rip on the left for this, oh no, I'm not gonna rip on the left or the right in exclusion of one another. There are both very flawed sides to the same coin, and I think rational people of both sides want the same things, just in different ways, right? I think even rational-minded, hard left or hard right people who have good intentions, who genuinely want good for the people or for the country, they both want the same things, even if they're on the polar opposites of sides. It's just they want it in a different way. Now, given that, we have to respect the fact that they just see things differently. We all have to respect each other, especially those who see different than us. We have to break bread with our enemies just as we do with our allies. And what I mean that is that when you find someone that heavily disagrees with you on something, treat them as if they agree with you the most on something. Because we're all human beings. And without the world of politics, you know what we just see? We see each other. We see each and one another as people, as human beings. But because we're so blinded by politics and because we're so blinded by memes and brain rot, we're just willing to just joke around something so serious and tragic like that. And it doesn't go without saying, I find quite a few things that I disagree with Charlie Kirk on, right? And if I do, I think I would need a better understanding of why he sees it that way. But in no way, shape, or form would I wish someone's death because I disagree with them. It's just mental insanity. And I was going to post this on my second channel, but this is just something that has to be called out to my general audience, because I'm trying to cultivate an audience of people who are willing to think, whether they're conservative or liberal or whatever. I don't care what your political affiliation is, but I need people that are rational minded and they're willing to see just the basic things that are just common sense. So I'm making this video for reference so that way y'all would know. But that's all I have to say. Please understand people as you walk out into this world, and I will try my very best to do so as well. I'll see you all in the next time.